This is the Alamo. I have a flag here, Mexican flag, the Constitution of 1824, that they respected. And the reason for the Alamo entirely is because of the Texan Revolution. They were fighting against the Mexicans for independence. And so the Alamo was originally a Spanish mission, which failed, later used by the Mexicans as a fort. That failed too, which was later used by the Texans as a fort, which also failed. So, it's a very glorious thing. So here we have the mission, which is what we see today. Now, in here, they stored their ammunition and explosives, and gunpowder. They had cannons here protecting the east wall along here. And they shot cannonballs, which were quite deadly. And here was the picket fence, which was their weakest spot because it was quite literally, as the name says, a picket fence. So in order to make it better, they put dead trees everywhere to try and protect it. Didn't work out well. They had a few cannons, and Davy Crockett and the best men that could shoot were defending this place. Over here we had the main entrance at the south. Consisted of a lunette and a trench. And they'd have messengers ride out over down the Gonzales Road to Goliad to get troops, but they didn't get enough. Over here was the huge 18-pounder, which shot 18-pound cannonballs. It's probably the biggest one in the area, other than the Mexicans' 22-pound cannon. Over here they had another defense, which was to keep, if any, the Mexicans from coming in here. There's a wall to protect them. Over here was the artillerymen planning. They'd planned strategic points to put all of the cannons, which would be the best defense. Here was another weak spot since the walls had crumbled and had been pounded by cannonballs over and over again by the Mexicans. Over here we have another one of the cannons and a lunette. Over here we'd have general quarters for housing. We had this little trench that was dug to get water from the river in front, but water didn't really flow through, so it was mostly dry. Over here we find again general quarters, which were complete with a bed and a desk. Over here they reinforced the walls that were also crumbling with a block. Here was the palisade, resting, and there were cannons here. This was where the Mexican army mainly tried to fight. They tried to defend here, but were caught off guard when the south wall had been breached, therefore giving them a disadvantage of distraction. There's then a gap in the wall right here, which allowed the Mexicans to just run right in through, and on top of that, they had ladders. They had ladders to climb up the walls and over. Now this is when a disadvantage of the walls came. So in order to shoot, they were climbing the walls. So in order to shoot, you'd have to climb up onto the wall, aim down, and shoot. But then the Mexican army could clearly shoot you. And they could not shoot the Mexican army without exposing themselves to fire. Later on during the fight, the Texans could not hold out. So they ran out over to the quarters over here and tried to surrender. But everyone who had bared arms against the Mexican army was considered a criminal and killed no matter what. Wells were dug when the irrigation trench had failed. So they dug out water. Over here, they had a horse pen, which was formerly the convent's garden. And then they had a cattle pen, which had many cows, some of which weren't even theirs, that they had stolen. That leads us back to the Alamo, which I will trace the outline of what is now currently existing. Here, all around here, all of this horse pen right here. All the way back to the Alamo. And this is the only existing part because the walls were eventually destroyed by the pounding of the Mexican army and their cannons. So that is the Alamo. And this would be the actual size. I am Diego Sanchez, and I have built the Alamo in actual size, and it is gigantic. Thank you very much.